Good evening once again, here is Howard, and welcome back to Practising Programming in C, in which we are going to continue to figure out what's going on with this particular bug that we were encountering in the previous stream. Before we begin, a couple of bits of administrivia. While I was getting some food, I got the email from Meow the Infinite, which is the comic from Anna Retberg and Casey Murasori. You know them both from Handmaid's Hero, and you know Casey from absolutely everything to do with like game programming, really. Yeah, so Meow the Infinite is now out, and you can get the digital deluxe edition, which I have bought, and it does contain this lot of stuff here. So the first the first download of the digital deluxe comes with the first 2 issues of the comic. I've read the first one so far, and that's cool. And the first one is also available online. Yeah, the first issue is online here. Let's see what's beeping. That was. Did I actually? Oh, I'll tell you what. I forgot to increment the number. One sec. Probably won't propagate through actually, will it? Because I'm now in the stream. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what this is to do with it. It's kind of like the field type bug. I don't know. field bug. That's kind of what we're doing. Yeah, so that got that, and yep, now live curly. Brett was laughing. I think he's gone by now, is he? I'm not sure. So yeah, Meow the Infinite. First episode is available online, but you get the first 2 editions, the first 2 issues, if you go for the digital deluxe edition, and you get some more stuff as well. So yeah, there's that. And the other bit of information was just that I'd forgotten to close the stream. Basically, that was all that I'd done. So yeah, SIMPalaxy asked a question. At 12 minutes to do, are you starting at 12? And yeah, I only just spotted that just a second before stopping the stream and then like restarting it for this one. But like usual, I am recording the stream on. Am I not? Yep, I'm recording the stream. And the previous stream was just like, it was chunked up properly. So the recording will be correct. The actual stream lasted longer than the actual recording. But yeah, doesn't matter. Before we continue, let's just get the song on. What quality is this? It's 320. Let's go for a bit of Richard Thompson. So that'll give us an hour. Tell you what, let's just go with this. Let's go until midnight, and then call it a day. I appreciate that it's a bit of a tease actually, isn't it? Like showing what I'm listening to when I can't actually have it coming through the stream for copyright reasons, but it's how it goes sometimes. So we're in this situation here where all I did in the last stream was introduce this particular array. So it's an array of it's these guys. It's an array of config type fields, right? And all this is doing is pairing up config types, or sorry, config identifiers with field types, right? And identifiers are these guys here. So there's an E number for these. So this is correctly enumerating all the guys, right? Here's a corresponding array of the strings for those guys. What is this? Is this, yeah, what is that? Was that just me planning out something? I don't believe that's useful at all anymore. No. So yeah, so those guys are talking about that. And config field types are just these guys here. So it's a string, a number, a bare type, and a scope. So those guys can be set to one of these. And here's our corresponding strings. Right. And then here, so yeah, that's a car star. So yeah, I think I'm doing this correctly. I think I'm initializing one of these dudes, right? Because the only place that this is even used is in the push type spec field function. Right, that's literally the only place that that's used at the moment. And last stream we did step through push type spec field to watch what actually happens here. And we did see that that worked. But I think, just to be sure, let's do it again. Right, so let's just step through here. So we've been passed. So we're pushing a type spec field onto the null scope, essentially, or the null type. The null type is not permeable. Yeah, we have initialized that correctly. Field count is currently 0 because this is the first time we're pushing this, calling this function. And the fields are not set to anything because they're nulled out. And it's a fit type spec field that will actually initialize this value here. So if I step over this line, we should step over this line and then print the spec again, we should see that this field gets populated. So it does do. And then we want to be setting. So we've been passed in the config identifier as the ID. The ID, right, is ident title list end. So we're just adding ident title list end to the root scope. That's all we're trying to do. What happened there? Oh. Interesting. Double click, then makes it underlined. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, we're adding the ident title list end field to the root type, or to the root or the null type. And we've got, yeah, ident title list end. If I, yeah, let's just print that just to make sure that that is the same as well. Sorry, if I look at this to make sure this is the same. Yeah, so that is the same. And we're setting the type to be string. So yeah, that would be absolutely correct. Right. Basically all that was happening previously was that we had hold on a second, that isn't a string. That is not a string. This is a bear. That's wrong. That's what that should be like. I wonder if that, hopefully that's the only problem. Because I was super bamboozled before. No, it's not. But it is possible that one of these other guys are not correctly set. Let's comb through these, okay, and just see if we can see if anybody else is wrong. I did null. Now, I feel it's reasonable to have this set to null. Tell you what, let's just be especially verbose here, and let's just add those is there an easy way of doing this? Yeah, there will be. So we're basically substituting a space and that with comma. Wait, hang on. Substitute space thing with comma space 0 comma space 0 and then the actual thing. Right. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, so it hasn't made any difference at all. Yeah, okay, so that's fine. So let's not bother with any of those. Just wondering if I needed to like fill up these things to make this array actually work. I mean, I suppose I could also do that. Should give us the same. Yeah, so there's no difference in the behaviour there. SIMPalaxy, but with Debugger too. I was like, yeah, I was just right now and I'm curious to what your Debugger is like. Right, okay. Yeah, I did move with Debugger. I think I only used it not for very long. So that's a great memory. Yeah, it must have been quite a few years actually since I actually like to use Debugger. And the only real thing that had a problem with, so I need to really, I need to have a good workflow. It's like you're saying you want to the programs in the workflow. I need a good workflow for writing annotations, basically. Now, an example of where Vim helped me out, where Debugger couldn't at the time help me, was one of the things that I do. This is Vim. One of the things that I do is, you see this scope here. Now, something that's really handy for me is being able to basically copy it like an entire scope, so you can like match. Can you see that that's switching between the end and the start? It has this thing that's built in that you can actually, you just press % to switch between the two scopes. So I do this quite often, like when I have I probably haven't got it here, but if I've got an instance of like a reference, one of these references here, so if I need to use the same reference in multiple places, what I tend to do is, let's just take this question from Brad, right? So he asked this question about papers I love, and I wrote this reference in here, say like the next person then asked the question also about papers I love, what I'd like to do is to yank that whole thing. So it's just like y and then the percent, and then I can just come here and just paste it all in, and it's, I guess it's a little bit like it's not an intractable problem. Like forcoder does have the idea of marks, so you set a mark at the start and then you move to the end of where you want to go and then you yank between the marks. So forcoder does have that idea of moving stuff around, but it's really just that idea of like, you know, jumping between the start and end of scopes, which was really handy for me. Another thing in Vim also is the ability, Alan actually did add this, it's to basically, you can just like increment and decrement numbers using Control A and Control X. Now forcoder does have this now, so that's not a difference anymore. Just wondering if there's anything more that I kind of get out of Vim that I don't have in forcoder, or at least I didn't have in forcoder. Yeah, I can't really think of anything at the moment. Who complains about KT in the like debugging as well? 24 seconds. Right, yeah, I do use CDBG. I mean, I do quite like it. I mean, it's the only debugger that I've actually used at all, honestly. Oh, well, I think I have used GDB, you know, the non-thingamajigged. Don't use wine, no. Although recently, you know, with Steam having introduced the Proton, which is essentially wine, I've used, you know, I've played a bit of Commandos, the old game Commandos, using Steam's Proton. But in the past, I found wine. It's kind of been a bit, I don't know. It just seems a bit kind of awkward. Kind of. It just never really fitted into what I wanted to do, I guess. No, I don't dual boot or don't use virtual machines. No, that's another thing. So years and years ago, I think I did have to use a virtual machine for something, or I think I was asked to use a virtual machine for something, but my machine just wasn't, you know, the actual proper machine on which it was running this virtual machine just wasn't powerful enough for it. I think it just needed more RAM or something, and also yeah, I think it was just a bit sort of awkward for me to kind of use this machine within a machine, kind of. But maybe that was just a product of it being unfamiliar to me, I suppose. I mean, one thing that I'll do now is that I actually, so I use you know, SSH. You essentially like SSH and you go into other machines. I do that, so I sort of, you know, log into the remote machine. But I don't really do an awful lot on the machine itself. By which I mean I don't edit on the machine. I do the editing locally, and then I push the stuff. I just sync the stuff across. the only thing that I do on the actual machine itself is just run programs, you know, compile and run programs on that remote machine. So I think if I had a virtual machine for the remote machine, I mean, maybe it could help, because you'd remove the idea, you'd remove the difference between the machine that you're working on and the remote machine. But the stuff that I've been doing, it's been like, I've wanted it to work. I wanted it to work locally as well as remotely. So having the sort of platform difference has actually helped me. Although, as it turns out, the thing that I actually made, I was developing on Linux, which is where I am here. I was testing it on FreeBSD, and then when it went into production, it was running on Linux again. So I had like Linux and FreeBSD in the mix, and at first there was some reason that I needed to distinguish between the two. So I sort of, you know, as you can do, like define, you can like, what is it? It's like D thingamajig or whatever. I had some conditions up in this little build thing here, that if the uname, right, you know this thing, right, if that was Linux, it would set dlinux like that. If it was FreeBSD, it would set FreeBSD or whatever. Probably capitalize it actually. I had to distinguish between them at first, but then it later turned out that I didn't need to distinguish them for some reason. It's to do with hashing. That was it. I was using Argon 2 to hash, and I just couldn't get the library, like libargon2.h to just work on FreeBSD for some reason. So I just like made a fake hash thing. Just wrote a fake hash that only ran on FreeBSD. But as it turns out, I later figured out how to get that working. I think I had to just install it through the package manager or something, and it was just getting all messed up. But yeah, that was virtual machines. Debugger, I've never done that, so I don't know about that. CGDB. Yeah, so I mean, we can just do something now, can't we? Because it was like, what was it? We wanted to look through the push type spec or something. I think we were doing this, weren't we? We were going through here. So this is basically all I actually do. Like, I've loaded up CGDB. Is this the default environment? Like, look at it. So what have we got? Real-line history and logs. So yeah, I mean, I presume that this is just the default. There's no manual for CGDB. Print this help. Okay. So there appears to be basically no options. Yeah, so I presume that this is just the default appearance of it. So I mean, basically, yeah, all I do is I sort of press escape to go up to the source. Sort of use you know, the / to find stuff. Like I want to push a type spec, and it's just N and capital N to sort of go forwards and backwards in the search results. Space to set your breakpoints, and then to go back down to here. For some reason, it's it's like, you know, in Vim, you do I to enter an insert mode. That's what they've chosen for this. So it's I to go back down to the command thing. And then basically I just do run R to run it, and I get to there. And then once here, what I would want to do is, I think I first of all wanted to look at the spec, didn't I? So you basically do p asterisk spec. Yeah, I did do this, didn't I? I just did exactly this. See that this is it's the null type. So essentially we're pushing on to, what we've done is we've gone through in it, so I'll just show you the whole program. So you come into main, you get the type spec, and the very first thing you do is call init type specs. So you set in this type specs from init type specs. We've come into here, so we mean and the CGDB. Yeah, you first of all initialize that to null, and then you wanted to set this root type spec. So you push type spec for this whole type, and then that guy, all that does is it just pushes one on, sets the permeability. CDBG. Oh shit! Right, yeah. How did we CDBG? Ah, I misread you. Yeah, that's a point. Yeah, I haven't tried it actually. Oh right, so for debugging on Windows, yeah. Okay, so that's probably why I haven't tried it. But there is another. There isn't CodeClap. CodeClap is another one, isn't it? Yeah, for for Linux as well. This is another one, wasn't it? Debugging Linux as well. I found that pleasant. Yeah, he seems to be still working on it as well. 1 week ago he did a blog post. There's a comment 9 hours, so yeah, there seems to be stuff going on. Somebody called Albatross is asking questions. Yeah, so there was CodeClap and also CDBG. Those were the two that Casey tried, weren't they? Casey tried them on stream. And at the moment it is just Windows, isn't it? Don't think it works on Linux. So yeah, I haven't tried this. It's very nice. There's room for improvement so much. Yeah, I think Casey encountered some stuff where he managed to make it crash, didn't he? And the interface was a lot different from Visual Studio and CDBG, because CDBG aims to be kind of Visual Studio like, doesn't it? And I think Casey found that it kind of looked and behaved similar to Visual Studio. Is that right? I think it was this one. He found that it had the same kind of windows, you know, like the call stack, the memory window, the watch window, which is this dude, the source window. You had the same sort of windows as Visual Studio, but I think it was quicker, wasn't it? It was more responsive. I think CodeClap had the interesting thing where it would do inline resolution of variables, wouldn't it? Yeah, CodeClap, yeah, I thought you did. Yeah. You had the inline variables from memory. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what else we saw. I can't remember if Casey liked the... I think he did, didn't he? Didn't he say that he liked the ability to step, like the different ways of stepping and breaking into things that you could do? I seem to remember there's something like that. And can we see the inline resolution of thingamajigs? So this is interleaved. This is the source interleaved with the assembly, isn't it? This is as well. This is going to be the... yeah, and this is also source interleaved with assembly. Yeah, is that an example there? I think this thing here. There we go. So that these guys in orange. Is that correct? Static int frames is equal to 0, and that's sending up at 93 over there. So he's setting it to 0. Maybe, okay, so he's at this point. So I assume that they're just sitting at this line here. So maybe this evaluates to 93 when you are sitting there. Is that true? Or are these down here? I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know, but it certainly looks different, doesn't it? Looks different from Visual Studio. So there was that change to get used to, and there was the crashiness. We've got a color picker here, which is kind of interesting. Is this just for the interface? It might just be for the interface. Yeah, so it's not actually. You know, it's not display. It's not managing to resolve something from in the source that's saying, you know, it's sort of saying that the color is going to be this. Just to show that. I don't think that's what's happening there. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's cool though, isn't it? Like, I mean, if Rad can pull the resources of all these people and get their cross-platform debugger out, that'd be great. So yeah, like, you know, the fact that this isn't finished, I kind of don't think that matters too much. And also, this was Windows only, wasn't it? Right. So basically, on Rad's debugger, because Rad are committed to it being cross-platform, I believe, they're going to basically have Nick's kind of experience of having done, you know, this whole thing, you know, working with, you know, like an executables format. What do you call them? Like there's dwarf. What do you call those guys? Dwarf and elf. Don't know if that's going to. Okay, yeah, it's just a debugging data format. Yeah, so he's used to working with a debugging data format. So that, yeah, they can draw on that experience and make it more generalized to other formats than Windows. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's great. And isn't Alan as well? Isn't he on the debugger team? Could be completely mistaken about that. And also, in days gone by, wasn't it One who was actually the person responsible for that debugger? So he might still be on the team. So we'd have like One Chun on there. We've got Nick and if I'm right in saying that Alan is on there as well, who does 4Coder. I mean, quite a team. And yeah, that'd be great. Like, I'm sure Rad's thing will be better than this guy, CGDB. So yeah, besides CGDB and Vim, on Arch I have Conky. Conky is this system monitor over here. Just show me all the nice stuff. I use NCMPCPP, which is just my music player. It's an interface for, it's a client interface for the server backend, which is MPD, and you can have different client front ends to this. I use Ranger for my file manager, and here's Meow the Infinite. Actually, shouldn't be showing this on stream because it's this is exclusive stuff. I say exclusive, I mean you can purchase it. It's not like only I have access to it. It's like you can purchase it. So yeah, I use Ranger here. I use WeChat for the chat. Vim is in here. I've mentioned CGDB. This is all Vim. Pacman, that's just like the standard thing. Yeah, that's most of that. And then I use Qt browser for my web browser, but it's kind of cool, but it's also really it's really hungry for memory, really. Like if I just close it, and in fact sometimes it doesn't even actually close fully, which is a bit not great. So OBS is going to be using some of the memory. It's using 759 megs. Yeah. So we're at 1.5 gig RAM used here. If we just launch Qt browser, it just rockets up to 3-ish. Still going. So yeah, it's gone up by about 200 gig, hasn't it? Sorry, 200 gig. It's gone up by about 2 gig. So you know, got 25 tabs open. And yeah, this is probably the most memory intensive program that I actually use, but I like it because basically it uses Vim keys. I'm a bit reluctant to show too much because I think I've got like some basically private stuff open, but I think if I can actually I could open a new window and then test, get my own website open. So I've got a few things open. Oh shit, that's going to show the other guy as well. Yeah, I can't really show I can't show things without revealing private info. Unfortunately. I can show you just on a few little pages. So you can use J and K to switch between your tabs. You can see, well actually you can't see the tab count down here. I think that should show up 1 out of 3. So you've got 3 tabs open. You could like switch between them using J and K. You can press F to sort of show the completion. It's basically showing you where links are, really. So you could do that, and then type the number to take yourself there. Capital H is to go back. Capital L is to go forwards. And there's stuff to do with jumping between buffers as well, or tabs, as I suppose you might be used to calling them. So I do like the fact that it's like all keyboard based. Obviously you can use a mouse as well, like it handles mouse import. But I tend to prefer using the keyboard. And this is really nice for that. It's just keyboard based out of the box, so it's not like an extension to another browser, as I used to have for Firefox. I used to use, I think Vimperator is what it was called. Yeah, Firefox extension Vimperator. So there was this, and then there was one called Pentadactyl, I think. Pentadactyl. Yeah, that's another Firefox extension. Bought from Imperator, yeah. So at some point, these guys both stopped working. I think they stopped working, or they were due to stop working because of a change to Firefox's extension system. And at that point, I was just like, well, I need sort of Vim keys type movement. So I just sort of went to find a full-on web browser that just does it. So yeah, Qt browser, that's the web browser. What else do I use that's pertinent? I use the ZSH shell. So one thing that's nice about ZSH is you essentially get this kind of thing here. Right, so you can see a couple of things in play here. I've typed AS. You can see, because it's turned green, you can see that AS itself is an actual function. But if I do AZ, maybe, yeah. So AZ isn't itself a command, because it turned red. So you can do, yeah, AS. That makes, when it goes green, you can tell it's a function or a command. And then you've got this thing here, grayed out, which is just previous commands you've run. So if you kind of start to type something and you see that the rest of this grey thing is something that you actually want, which is super, it's just exactly what I want to have happen when I do writing annotations. Because one thing that I do is I need to sync the guys over. So I do this all the time. I basically type sync, well, something like that, and it shows up the rest of it. I complete it by using Control E, and then I just backspace that and do the current episode. So that's a kind of a nice handy little thing. Oh, the terminal itself is URXVT. I think the only thing to say about URXVT is that you can grab URLs basically. So let's just see if we've got a URL in here. Yeah, we have. So in fact, I did this before, didn't I? You just press Alt and U, and then it goes to the lowest down URL that you can pick, and then you just like hit enter and it just loads it up basically. I think you can also hit O and it'll open the link, but it'll stay in this mode, so you can actually kind of move up. You can like move between URLs if there's multiple of them. Do I sync hero? What the programs you've used? Or have you stuck with that one? Sync hero, yeah. Sync hero is just a well, what is it actually? It's either a script or a it is a script, yeah. So all it's doing is it is synchronizing the HTML files, so a HTML file is one of these guys. Is the files that I write the annotations in. It syncs those and templates. It's just the stuff to do with Cinera. It syncs those to the server that I run, that is serving up this page here. So this little previous episodes thing is just serving up this. So yeah, sync hero just does that. And the reason that I need to pass a number, so the reason I have to do this is that some of the early episodes have templates in them. So I might be able to see one. Pretty sure episode 6 has a template. Yeah, you can see that here. So these guys have templates within them. Now, for the ones that have templates, I needed to make a different version of the template for well, it'll be this page. Right, I needed to make a different version of the template for this page, so it shows all of this stuff, but it also produces this, right? And basically, having this requirement here, passing this, it makes the thing only sync this particular file to the server. If I sync them all, it would actually it would try and sync up the, because you got to remember, I also write, I only write these in one place. Is that right? Yeah, I think I write them in one place. And just sync them straight up, as opposed to copying these to a different directory and then syncing that whole directory. I suppose it doesn't really matter, because either way, whatever I'm using, I need to make sure that I don't copy these particular people, because it would screw up this template. I think that's the reason anyway. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's just a script, so it's just what I do. Thought I've made. Here's the episode guide server. Yeah, yeah, I did. Yeah, that. Gosh, well remembered. The problem there was that I'd failed to update the SSL certificate that's on the sites. I'd failed to be updating that correctly. I think what I was doing was I was renewing the certificate, but I wasn't restarting the server. the Nginx. I wasn't restarting Nginx, so it wasn't taking effect, and the certificate expired. And I think Casey must have caught it, and he just made it. I think he must have made it redirect to the Handmade Hero site, because I don't think that would happen automatically. I think he caught that. Pretty sure that was the problem, or at least that was the problem at one of the occasions. But yeah, that hasn't been an issue for a while. Yeah, so I do this one, and there's also a Handmade Network. It's episode code. Yeah, this page also. So this one isn't handled by me. This is the responsibility of the Handmade Network people. Yeah, so it's just their layout basically. Yeah, and this isn't my responsibility. I haven't done any of this. The only thing that's my responsibility is this. It's essentially the stuff that matches up with this, really. Yeah. So yeah, sync hero was a thing. Vim. I did do an Arch Linux stream, didn't I, once? Where's that going to be? I think it's going to be in testing. Okay, so I did this. In fact, I could link it to this article actually. Yeah, so use systemd boot for my boot thingamajig. You're watching this sound video. Oh right, nice one. So yeah, there's these guys. Window manager with Fluxbox. Although I'm thinking of moving to what's it called, Awesome. Might go to Awesome because that's Martin's Mosaiko's favourite window manager. That's what he likes. And he showed me it at Handmade Con as well, and it does look sweet. Very keyboard centric. It's a tiling window manager. I think the only thing that's prevented me from doing that so far is yeah, I can't remember actually. Maybe it's just that I do like to occasionally layer stuff up. I appreciate that you can lay them up. Only this one, yeah, because it takes time, and doing it myself you get no money for it. It's just like you're just doing it. So yeah, it's only this one that I've actually annotated. Link to YouTube. Okay. Make a note of that. I mean, this whole thing is still in the testing, isn't it? Oh, mind you, it's not in. I think it's just not linked anywhere. I think that's the thing. It's not linked anywhere because I want to make it integrated with the site, don't I? That was the thing. You showed the annotations. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I really appreciate that. So yeah, okay, you can search the actual sysadmin thing here, and it does link to this, but these guys don't link to it, and I think the reason is, yeah, I need to make I just need to add this title bar to the template for this file. So that's all I need to do actually. Yeah, which should be dead easy. But for some reason, I think I tried it and it didn't work, and I was just like, stop that, just leave it, just leave it for now. Yeah, see, you should see actually, there's a bit where I do a load of Pac-Man stuff. It'll be towards the end. Yeah, YouTube DL, GCC Clang, RxVC, VT Unicode, URXVT Perl. So that this URXVT stuff, that's the terminal, and I think it's Perls that enables me to do the URL, you know, skipping between URLs and selecting them. Should be quite a few more Pac-Man things. In fact, I can just go Pac-Man, can't I? So yeah, Conky is one of the things, which is this guy over here. YouTube DL, yeah, this is the one we just did. Fluxbox, Xorg. Oh, MPV for the video player. E-Links, I'd installed that for some reason. That's just a web browser, which is in the terminal. I think maybe that's it. Yeah, and then these guys are the ones I mentioned earlier. MPD, NCMP, CPP. They were the music guys. Ranger, the file manager. WeChat, the IRC client. And Cute Browser, the web browser. And Fortune mod. All that is just this little guy up here. Right, so when you like open a new shell, it just gives you a little fortune cookie. I've always felt sorry for people that don't drink. Remember, when they wake up, that's as good as they're going to feel all day. So, I think when I was younger, I would have agreed with that. I think that when I was younger, when I woke up, I would be straight awake, and I'd be like, yes, we've got another day to go, another day to do. Yeah, and I would have been straight into it. More recently though, I don't think that's true for me. I think I wake up and it's like, well, okay, we've got another day to do. And then I think it's only really as you go through the day. You know, I think it's as I go through the day and accomplish things that I feel different. So yeah, I've got to say, for this particular fortune cookie, it was true for me when I was younger, but it's not true for me anymore. That's what I'd have to say. These nice reading guides. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so while you were installing Arch, so what did you say before? You wanted to know you would have, oh, yes, right, okay. So you're in the process of switching to Arch and you're looking for programs in general. Okay. What have you found so far? Have you found anything that you like? Just in general. Yeah, I don't think I've ever used it actually since installing. I'm trying to think of what kind of a document I could even think about looking at. So you've got Wikipedia articles, haven't you? So let's say I want to look at the Wikipedia article for Arch Linux, let's just say. Yeah, I mean, I suppose this would be kind of cool. One thing about it here is that I'm navigating with the page up and down keys. It's a really minor point, but navigating with page up and down, I don't think Control F works. Oh, it does work. Okay, so ignore that. You can't go to the top of the thing though, can you? With double G. So yeah, you will have to. I think you'd have to move. Oh, and you can't move up and down by lines. Okay, so you can only move by pages like that, but you can move by lines with the mouse wheel. Okay. Oh, I see. You're actually moving by, when you go up and down, you're actually moving between the links. I see. Doesn't hash do something as well? Yeah, that's something to do with links, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I haven't really done that very much. Don't think you mentioned Ranger. He's looking into news boats. Sometimes think if I was my laptop, trying to find a debugger with visual programming and graphics engineering. Right, okay. So sync thing. I think I might have heard of that. Definitely I've heard of Newsboat. Nice. So I used to use, what did I use? I think it's called News. In fact, I think it's called Newsboiter. So it might have been, I think it was this. Well, let's have a look at the information for this, because it might have been descended from that one that I used to use. Yeah, it is. Right. Newsboiter is a fork of Newsboiter. Okay, I'm with you. So yeah, I used to use this. It's kind of amazing, isn't it? Like how people just navigate, they sort of gravitate to the same things. Co-economics at uni largely. Cool. Yeah, I haven't done any visual programming. Or any graphics stuff either. The closest I've come for visual programming is doing basically music using pure data. Oh wow, so that doesn't exist anymore, does it not? Oh, okay. So, when was that last updated? Last updated last year. So see also this site. Yeah, visual programming language for multimedia. So yeah, this is something that I've used years and years ago, and I didn't use it very much actually. I remember doing something. It was something for a theatre show, because I used to do community theatre, and I've done like the sound, like the sound design, for want of a better word. Pare down to get more functional. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, Arch is great for that actually, paring down, because it comes with nothing installed basically. Oh, I use the PDF reader called Zathura. I don't think that's mentioned in that, what's it called, in the sysadmin. I don't think that pops up. So, yeah, it's not. So that's something that I use also. And that's how I'm reading Meow the Infinite. Do less. Do you think I need to do less? Calling system calls I don't want to virtually. Right. I see. Yeah, is there much scope for that sort of thing? Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've really hit anything. I mean, I don't really do system calls directly at all yet. I could do for memory allocations. I could use the memset function directly. I use Identifier. That's basically a system call, isn't it? I do use that. Although is it a system call? I mean, it's definitely a Linux subsystem. Don't know. But yeah, I often find that. Well, I say I often find. I mean, I just find that it doesn't. The stuff that I write, it doesn't really screw anything up, if you know what I mean. I mean, the only way I manage to screw anything up is just by allocating too much stuff. You know, I had just like some runaway allocating in an infinite loop or something, or just memory leaking. I think that's the only issues I've encountered so far. My issues are mainly just in my own program, like screwing up the logic. Yeah, I can't think of any other programs that I use. I do use Steam for games, but I don't actually use Steam very often. But I do have it installed. Is there anything in this guy? Yeah, there's nothing really in here that's doing anything. This updates thing here is using essentially a pacman command to get the number of updates. And then this is built into Conky. Well, this is built into Conky. Oh yeah, OBS, of course, I'll use that. So yeah, I think I probably actually mentioned absolutely everything that I do use. And also they are mentioned in the thingamajig, aren't they? This guy, you can see that in the pacman calls, you'll see those guys going in. Yeah. Yeah, I do use just the vanilla Linux kernel now. I used to use Concalibus's kernel. So he does these. Yeah, he seems to still be doing them because we're on 4.20.12 at the moment. I did used to do this. Yeah, Mucus and the BFS. Oh right, this has been decorated renamed to Mucus. Yeah. So yeah, I did used to use this, but then I think, yeah, for all the time that I've had this system, and this is the system that I actually installed on this thing here. This is what's going on in this. I think I've always just used the vanilla kernel. And basically the other thing, it was so the BFS is a scheduler. I think it's a process scheduler as opposed to a disk scheduler. It's a while since I've actually looked into this. Brainfuck scheduler is designed to be forward-looking only. Use the lowest version. Fairness. Nice priority distribution. So yeah. Yeah, so this is talking about a process scheduler. Yeah. Can't keep the CPUs busy enough. Yeah, so I came across this a few years ago and used it for ages and ages. And it seemed to do the trick. I mean, it seemed to be... I mean, it worked. But in order to install it, you needed to have a different repository available. So in your pacman config, you had to actually you had to sort of add the CK repo, wasn't it? repo CK. Yeah, you have to add this thing. And yeah, as time's gone on, I've been kind of less and less inclined to bother with getting like kind of third-party repositories in and that sort of stuff. Is there anything from the AUR that's worth mentioning? I don't think there is. No, I can't think of anything particularly interesting from the AUR that I use. There are some things, but I don't think there's anything that's particularly interesting, and nothing that I can actually specifically bring to mind. Yeah, so I think that's hopefully covered it here. Hopefully covered all that I use. And the music is actually finished. Midnight has gone by, so I think I might call the stream here actually. Is the wiki? Yeah, absolutely. So before I was using Arch, I was using the Arch wiki anyway. So I was like, well, I'm using this documentation. I might as well just use the distro that this thing is written for. So that was part of the reason that I even used Arch in the first place. And then as I started to use it, I really liked the rolling release model. It's just kind of really handy that you can just install it and just keep updating it, and it just remains up to date. In addition to teddy bear, Arch is only the factory. So you're the worker in the factory, so you have to manufacture the teddy bear. I've never thought about that. I'll have to mull over this. Teddy bear factory analogy. A bit. I think Arch does more than it gets credit for, I think. And I really like I really trust the people who are responsible for the repository. You know, the guys who test and maintain packages. Well, that's about your distro. Yeah, I do trust the repository maintainers. They get David switching on the tibber. I see. Yeah, so it's more you're getting to build it and less customizing stuff that's already in there. Give the tools me, but made it by yourself. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably fair. Watching the Arch wiki is social. Yeah, because everyone's used to making the stuff. Or I suppose the wiki has to prepare people to make the stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think when I first used it, because I used Fedora before Arch. Fedora is similar to Debian in the sense that it's just like an out-of-the-box thing. you install it, and then you're basically in a distribution. Well, I say you're in distribution, you're in like a graphical environment, really. So I think when I first moved to Arch from Fedora, the main difference was that you don't have a graphical environment out of the box, really. And also you did have to choose the file system and the partitioning scheme yourself. I don't think you get an option to actually, like, I don't think there's a default like thing in the Arch installation that just sort of says, do you want the default Arch thing, Arch partitioning scheme and file system formatting, or do you want to create your own? From memory it doesn't have that, whereas people like Fedora and Debian do. I think they do have that. So yeah, I guess the installation is more in depth, but it's not too tough, I don't think. I mean, the video, this guy that you just mentioned, down the stream, or rather maybe yeah, this thing is only 2 hours long, isn't it? And that's including some preamble chat and some of the research that I did while I was actually installing it. Oh, I've chosen crinkles. Okay, I can't hear this. That's fine, because neither can you. I think these don't work, do they, by the way? Oh, they do apparently work. So if you want to actually watch all this stuff yourself, by the way, then you could install TTY record. What was it called? It was TTY record, wasn't it? TTY rec. Blimey. Oh. Is it in the AUR maybe? Yeah, okay, so it's in the AUR. So if you want to play these guys back, you can install TTY rec and then just watch it, because that's all I was doing in the stream. When you see me play it, wherever it is, yeah, play that. That's all I'm doing. I'm just using TTY rec to play this file, right? So if you don't need the commentary, you can just just play the file. Sure, yeah. There you go. Yeah, so I think that was it, isn't it? Thanks for downloading the stream after and use it to steer what things with my own setup. Cool. Yeah, you're very welcome, and thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the follow as well. I think you, I think I spotted you followed or something. I think maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, thanks for being here, and thanks to everybody else who's been watching. I will upload it to YouTube, and I will put it in the Practising Programming C. But I'm gonna have to rename it. Right, it's gonna have to just be. It's gonna have to be called something else, because I didn't do this. I didn't look into the this field bug at all. So that's gonna have to be tomorrow's task. We're gonna have to be looking into what the problem was with this particular field, or with the whole new thing, that whole new way that I'm doing the fields. Q&A session with Simp. Perfect. That's what we'll call it. Q&A session with Simp. I think I'll credit you with the full name. Sorry, unproductive. Not at all. No, it's perfectly cool. Yeah. So let's call it an hour and 20. Yeah. That's it. Thank you very much. heroes and heroines. Thank you very much, SIMPalaxy, especially for to whom this whole stream is dedicated, to whom this whole Q&A session is dedicated. And yeah, we'll reconvene tomorrow. Until then, farewell for now.